Hi everyone, so here is Moonlight Soul and my soul sees Marisa from Growing the Flow, and this is Stars and Cars episode 21. Can you believe it? And we'll be talking about the Taurus new moon. Hi Marisa.
Hello over there.
From
How
Europe.
are you? You feel so far away.
I know, and it's so weird because I was behind you and now I'm ahead of you time-wise, so it's
I
crazy.
know. It's crazy. So we're 6 hours apart now in time, right? But
Yeah,
we're here. So we come back together from your new space,
on May 1st.
your old space, right?
Exactly. And this is my first working thing I'm doing since I arrived, trying to get over my jet lag.
Good. Yeah, take it easy. Ease back into it, right?
Right. So we have some interesting topics to talk about today.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I feel like we've already we brought up so many good things off camera that yeah, we'll just see what wants to come forward for us today in the frequency of the incoming new moon in Taurus. So we were talking about that, and that I was saying that everything that I've tapped into so far has been quite um like lovely was the word I saw. Like it's just overall like a sort of seeding and blossoming into a lot of the the turmoil and some of the tumultuous energies that we've just moved through in April.
Yeah, and I mean, this moon is conjuncting Uranus, Jupiter conjunction, and like I was telling you, everything is in a new phase. As of yesterday, Mars is in Aries, Venus is in Taurus. As we recording this is just before Pluto stations retrograde, but of course, by the time we have a new moon, Pluto will be retrograde. So things are moving, things are changing, and I mean, again, when Uranus is involved in any lunation, expect unexpected, could be anything, so let's just go with the flow.
Yeah, we'll just go into it and see what's going to come forward. So we've got our decks lined up. So let's just get right to it. We'll bring the Queen of the Moon in first. See which one we get this month. This is the first one I'm tapping into for this moon. So I'm excited to see.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I haven't done my Taurus new moon video. This is the premiere.
Yeah, this feels like it comes up so quick. Like, we'll have the first of the month and I'm, it's May Day and, and all this new energy and kicking off the empowerment for the month. And then it's boom, new moon, so it's shifting gears. So let's see what we get. I'm gonna go with this one here. All right. We
The new
got the new
beginning.
moon card.
Oh yeah. And
This
it's
is the
number
card for
2,
the
right?
new moon beginnings. Yeah, number 2. So wow, that is really beautiful. And I've been seeing so many things lately about doorways, opening doors and closing doors and this sense of crossing over thresholds and things. So this is really, bringing forward that energy. And then also you see sort of like a winter scene on the outside that's giving way to this lush spring perhaps or summer, because in fact, this being May Day today, Beltane, sort of celebrating the incoming summer season in the northern hemisphere, but this notion of fertility and abundance and fire and coming alive and all of that energy coming from what looks to be more bleak and dark, and also maybe things that are unknown or unclear because of those conditions. And I think
Mm.
it's interesting that it's weather, because that's really, I think, how we feel is we've just been sort of bobbing along or flowing or kicking and screaming or whichever way you've been going through all of this fluctuations in weather,
Mm.
astrologically, energetically, and literally, I think we met since we had the unusual to my area earthquake
Yeah.
here just before. Yeah, we did, because it was before the solar eclipse. And just other places in the world with weather extremes and things, which of course is Uranus, bringing in all those extreme things and stuff. So seems quite appropriate to have the new moon card come up here for this one.
And I'm just noticing that is the number 2, and this is the second new moon of the new astrological year because Taurus is the second sign. Aries new moon, which was of course the eclipse, and this is the first new moon that is not an eclipse, but it's actually the second new moon of this astrological year. So it's very, very interesting. And also the fact that as you know, as we know, Aries is the fire. So I always say it's like the point of conception, you know, it's the fire of creation. But Taurus is when, you know, the cells started separating and something starts being formed. It's something tangible, it's the earth. And what we can see on this card is all this earth, it's all this green, it's all these things that we start seeing manifesting. And it's so interesting because, as I just mentioned in that opening message, that we have it in conjunction with Uranus and Jupiter, but they are ahead of Sun. They are on a higher degree. The moon is on 18 degrees. They're already on past 20 degrees. So this is a new phase, new beginning with regards to Uranus as a ruler of Pluto, by this point retrograde. So more re-evaluation, because as we know, we have one more retrograde into Capricorn, the last one, but Pluto will only hang about on 29 degrees. It's not going to go any further than that. So you have the new phase conjunctions from Uranus, and also between Uranus and Jupiter. So Jupiter is also in a new phase with the moon, but it's also in a new phase with Uranus, because we just recently had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And this is all happening with Taurus, which is we are forming this new story that is helping us to set ourselves free. But the way of getting there might not necessarily be comfortable, because with Pluto going retrograde and moving into Capricorn once more in September, October, November, it's all about breaking free from the old definition and structure of reality. And Taurus, as we know, as I know, because I'm Taurus sun, we can be very fixated on our comfort zone and pleasures and what feels familiar and stuff. And this is what this new moon is ushering in. And we can see it very clearly, like, okay, well, you know, you might not even know that you were in a winter season, but it's coming through this new life. But we don't know, right? Because it's still in the early stages, what is going to look like once we go through that archway and see the totality of that.
Yeah. Yeah. What's on the other side? So there's this crossing over, which to me, the two is always like the crossroads, the choice point, you know, which way from here. And there's this beautiful opening here that we see, but it is like, it's funny, as you were like talking, I was thinking about with the extremes of weather and what we see here, it runs from being so cold here, but because it's the spring, we're fully into like sports and outdoor activities. So as parents, you know, kids playing sports and we're on the sidelines and you're freezing. I mean, last weekend it was I don't like the cold. This Leo does not like the cold. And I was up to my eyeballs with a blanket and I was so cold. And then it's been 80 degrees Fahrenheit, sweating, like sunburned. And it's like these two extremes I see here. And it's like, you know, walking around making small talk. There's these things we say like, oh, so cold, you know, can't we just fast forward to when we complain about it's too hot, you know, and then here we are, it's too hot now, you know, and it's like this joke in a place where we had something like 4 seasons, although that's changing somewhat. There's this energy of these two extremes, and also both of them having light and dark shadow aspects, you know, because yes, it looks bright and beautiful and lush and green, and then with that comes, you know, all around here the bugs come back, and you know, all the things that go on that require care and maintenance that in the winter are kind of off season, you know, that kind of thing. So just from a practical standpoint, I'm picking up on those two extremes, and just sort of maybe even like the shock or the just switching from one to the other. It's like you go from that black and white into the technicolor, and it's like, you know, it's a lot to take in and sort of balance out again with that two energy.
It's all the polarities, isn't it? The polarity and duality of our human experience. And now me being in the same weather pattern zones as you are, I'm actually very grateful that the weather at the moment is still holding to these 80s. So it's not such a shock for my body coming from Mexico. And I know that the temperature is meant to go down this weekend, but I had the opportunity to have these 24 hours of adjusting. But, you know, that's what I feel. Even with this Taurus, the changes usually come in slowly. because Taurus is quite slow moving sign. So we might want the changes fast and we want it to be here already tomorrow, right? But it's like, well, we're still at the beginning of the cycle. The things that there is a new beginning, we are in a new beginning. The ruler of the North and the South Node are already in their rulership. Mars is about to have a conjunction with its own North Node in the middle of May, and then Chiron at the end of May, by which point Jupiter is already in Gemini. So we are definitely moving forward. There is a forward motion, but at the moment it might look very slow to us, even though time is very fast. So it's all like paradoxical, but the changes are being manifesting very slowly at the moment because we are just starting the cycle.
Yeah, but that this new moon may really start to be that first step into the new, where you start to see that growth. You start to see what's blossoming from under the surface, that from everything that's been stirred up and churned up and coming up, that it really starts to bring that into our awareness. Yeah.
And I mean, you never know with Uranus being involved, it could be something very sudden.
Yeah, that's possible too. It's like, okay, fine, great. I'm gonna adjust my expectations to be the, into this pace that this is moving, and then whams, expect the unexpected. So it really is, I think, just as always, an opportunity for us to be looking for the message. What is this coming up to show me? The lessons, the blessings, all of the things about no matter what the weather pattern is or where we find ourselves in any given moment. And the mantra that goes with this actually does say, I accept and rejoice in renewal and beginnings. So acceptance, that's a word that we've been talking about too, about accepting something. And I always like to say that, words like accept or surrender or allow, I like to feel empowered by those words, because I think sometimes they get a sense of like, well, if I accept it, then it's like I'm giving my okay to something that I may or may not really like or be excited about, or I don't know, because I don't know yet what I'm renewing or what it is that's coming forward. But again, it's sort of empowering to say, I accept, I allow, I flow, in order to welcome in and rejoice in change and renewal, because it is all a part of this cycle. Things are continuously changing, even if it is something that's gradual or that I can't see.
And this is again taking us back to the serenity prayer that's been coming up for both of us, but especially for you in this past week, like continuously. And this is like, yes, when we accept that which we cannot change, it actually helps you to feel more empowered. Because if we cannot change it and we fight in it and we can't accept it, then we feel more and more hopeless and disempowered. So this is where the serenity prayer actually plays such an important role, to be able to discern which one is which. Am I able to change anything about this situation? Do I have a power to influence it? Or is this something that's actually out of my control right now? And I can obviously choose to respond in whichever way, and which is the way that would help me to feel more empowered. So this is where I feel that these are such important aspects that we need to start paying more and more attention to, rather than just leak our life force in all these different directions that are not really productive anymore.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, we're sort of concentrating the momentum and the energy to this archway, to this opening. Because yeah, we can try to scale the wall, we can try to knock it down, we can try to dig underneath, but are we best served when we flow with the energy? The opening is here. This is where where we're headed. And that's the serenity prayer was so beautiful that it came forward for both of us in that notion of being granted the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, most importantly, the wisdom to know the difference. And that's where the power is within us, is to hone that, to tap into your inner wisdom of knowing the difference between accepting something that I cannot change. This is a part of the weather, the season, the cycle, wherever we are in this moment. And then feeling empowered through that acceptance to then have courage to influence and change those things that I can. And that feels much more directed. I feel like I'm honing my energy and my power in something that feels like a useful, way of directing it versus just being all over the place kicking and screaming, and that's one way to go, but it does feel like there's some guidance here about really honing in there through the opening.
And this is what I feel that gives us the choice, the number 2, to choose a new beginning, a new way to respond to these situations where we try to discern and apply the knowledge and information of the past, which then becomes a wisdom. So
Yeah. So
it is again layers, right?
Yeah. Wow. So it feels really, I mean, it is the card for the new moon, so it's definitely right on point for
Even though
sure.
it's funny that the moon looks actually like it's full moon, but
It
it's
does
actually
look
a new
full,
moon,
right? It
right?
doesn't look like a new moon. But does that mean maybe that again, even though there's an absence of light, that again, this could really be bringing some clarity? That was something, I recorded the part 1 for the empowerment pack, the month ahead reading yesterday, and that was a key word that was coming up is clarity. So coming from on the other side of that energetic storms that we moved through in April, having some clarity. So maybe, even with it being a new moon, some of those new beginnings are going to be becoming clear.
And you know what I'm thinking? Because Pluto is going to move into Aquarius for the final time right after the full moon in Taurus. And I mean, okay, it's not quite snowy yet, in end of November, but it could be. In some places it is. So that's what I'm thinking, it is the new moon, the beginning of something which we will understand much more by fall, when Pluto actually will end with Capricorn for the last time and close this loop of the transit of Pluto through Capricorn, which, as we know, once Pluto is done with the sign, after the decade and a half, or 2 decades, however long Pluto spends there, that's it. The sign is dismantled. And we still have this last retrograde ahead of us. So we don't know the totality yet, because Pluto is going there once more. As I mentioned, during this new moon in Taurus, Pluto is already retrograde. So I feel that that's really connected. That by end of November, when we have the full moon in Taurus, we will have much more clarity.
Yeah.
So the doorway, the archway is gonna become wider.
Yeah. It's going to become a whole new opening, a wide berth into the new, for sure.
So we need to know the card and see what comes up for it one in 6 months.
Let's see what we need to know, do, and be around this new moon in Taurus as it relates to new beginnings.
Yes.
So we're going Psychic Tarot of the Heart.
And we have all this green theme going on, the heart chakra.
Yes. Feels earthy too. I like the green for these new beginnings and for healing. And yeah, feels good. So let's see, what do we have coming up to? Oh, that's the Teach card winking at us, the Hierophant.
Oh wow, and it's Virgo. That's also green.
Let's see what to know.
Oh no, Hierophant is Taurus. That's even better.
Yeah. Oh yes. I was like,
it's not now Hermit is Virgo. Oh wow, refusing to see.
2.
Well, there you go, the 2.
There we have a 2, refusing to see. Okay, so that's somewhere along the wall where we're ramming into it still. Still trying to bust through and make our own opening. Let's see what's going to go with that one. So we have 2 2s so far. To do action. The world, 21, embrace. That's definitely feeling like some highest guidance there as to what to do is to embrace. Wow. Okay.
Wow, world is a Capricorn, right? Saturn.
Yeah.
World represents Saturn. Wow, this definitely speaks to me, to this last transit through Saturn for Pluto.
Yeah.
Well, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn.
And then to be. It's another 2.
Oh, wow.
2 of Pentacles, find balance, back into equilibrium from the extremes. Wow.
These are some really powerful cards.
Yeah. So we have 2 of Swords, refusing to see, the world, which is embrace, and we have the 2 of Pentacles, find balance. So we've got this 2, but the 21 is also significant for endings and new beginnings and chapters and full circle and all the things. I just keep seeing the round of the helmet, the round of the world, and the round of that wheel. Like, just again, it just feels like this one just kind of, to me, it just really does speak for itself. And look at what's trying to come in. Look what's available. And yet there's this very heavy armor, this helmet on the head, on the crown, that keeps the gaze down, you know. And this has been a theme coming in, look up, you know. And with our weekly cards that we pull for the collective every Sunday, we had the 10 of Wands twice in the same position, and this week was no exception. So you can see that downcast, holding on, like clinging on to all of that. And this is a 10. So it's also about an ending or coming to something being finished. And so it feels like the refusal to see is that clinging or holding on, or in some way, you know, the heaviness over the crown, which could represent really being in the head. You know, swords are about the intellect, the thoughts, the analytical mind, our beliefs. And if there's a real heaviness, if it's, you know, top heavy, as opposed to being in the heart or our gut and working through with our intuition and our inner knowing and wisdom, then there's this block, you know, this block that it can't get in. And so the 2 of Swords speaks to that, again, that cross, that perception of choices being limited, of options being few, of like not really seeing the big picture of what's really potentially possible and what's coming in.
Yeah, because in a traditional tarot or Rider-Waite deck, the person has their eyes covered by the scarf, right? And I think it's so interesting when actually having the 2 cards next to each other, it looks like the big ass moon from the first card is actually reflecting on his helmet.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it seems like he has some kind of like a mirror coming out around the helmet, and the moon is reflected. You can see it's like the reflection of the moon on the first card. So I feel this is not a coincidence, of course. And it's like, you know, there is this new moon, this new energy with all these powerful new frequencies of this astrology that we have present at the moment. And we still choose to look at it through the old program, because the swords are the way we think, the old program, which is all this, especially being, you know, this Taurus season, survival, you know, the have and have nots, and, you know, the comforts, and you know, what we used to, and being stuck in a comfort zone and stuff like that. So I feel with this guy, you know, looking down to the ground, again, ground, the roots, the earth chakra, it's like we're just looking at these things that, like, the obvious thing, which is obviously essential, because like we were discussing previously to, you know, prior to our recording, if your basic needs are not met, it's not so easy to be spiritual and meditate in the middle of the road if you're hungry and cold and you don't have a roof over your head and you don't feel safe. But then, like, metaphorically or like symbolically, I feel this man, like, especially, it's again not lost on me that he looks like a soldier, like a military, like we again looking down and we look at the things that already happened, and we looking at that through this survival, like the reptilian side of our brain, that, well, we just need to survive, and that forces us to make these old choices under old circumstances, because we go to the database, the archive of the past, and we choose the ones from what already happened, which leads to the same outcome. Whereas there is this, you know, this new moon reflected on his helmet, on his crown chakra. The new moon has this new energy that's being birthed, that represents this gateway into this brand new earth, what we can see on that picture, but we not see it because we're looking somewhere different, but it's there. And that's the 2 of Swords, like, which way do you want to go? Because this all is available. So I feel it's so interesting that these 2 cards, especially how the reflection of the moon falls on the helmet, which I know it's got its own moon there, but the way, from my vantage point looking at it, that's what it looks like, that you're holding up a mirror and you can see the moon reflected in there.
Absolutely. And also, just the words here are so powerful, refusing to see. So it's like the opposite of acceptance, right? It's refusal. Yeah. So it's like, you know, yeah, you can go this way or that way. And it's like, if you want to stay stuck in a rigid refusal to see something that may be glaringly apparent that's trying to get in there. It's feeling like a stubbornness as well with that side of the Taurus energy of there's this stubbornness and this being really rooted in what we know and what's familiar in the old playbook, and the way that we do change, head down, just sort of surviving through it. And actually there's this opening to this new way that's quite really being open and allowing acceptance, flow, and not so much in the head. It has a role, but there's this energy of, as we bring in the rest of the cards, finding balance and restoring balance, and that's kind of where we're at when it comes to bringing things back into an equilibrium from these extremes that seems so separate. Like I said, it's so like honing in on this one way into the new, but like I said, that you can get there any number of ways if you wish to try. But again, trying to ram into and knock down that wall or using that old force may not give you the results that we're looking to bring in here at this time. When we look at this is something to know, is to know that this refusal to see this stuckness on survival versus it's funny because I've been seeing that a lot about what we say, like thriving, not surviving. But instead of a survival, it's a revival. I saw this new entrance of that word, which felt really aligned too. It's like, this is a revival because we do have all of this wisdom. I think we got the wisdom card last time because it was about that discernment between what we know, knowledge, versus wisdom, and this energy of things that history has taught us. And that got into, over history, having some very wise and some very not so wise players and everything in between, that we have this guidebook to give us some ways to get there. But then there's this point that we come to now, the action, the do, is the major arcana card, the World, which is the final card of the major arcana, which is coming into wholeness and completion on the Fool's journey, which on the other side of that is a new beginning. So it's this cyclical energy as the world turns, and here it's called embrace. And I love that because that's another empowering word to me, to embrace, because there's this openness and this illumination. The crown is completely illuminated, and so is the heart. And you can see here this heart at the center of the world that I see sometimes as vessels or roots coming out from the center of the earth, and recognizing that that's where the new world, the new earth, is going to come from, the heart. That heart is at the center of it.
Yeah, and in a sense, like when I mean, it might not be the way calls up, but when I look at the card of the first card, the Two of Swords, it looks like he's got the earth behind him, in a sense. So to behind the helmet, it's the big circle, so it kind of looks like that's an earth, isn't that the earth? So to me, again, this is so I mean, all the cards again speak the same, they have a message in them, which is that there is this new gateway, this new beginning that is being birthed, and we refuse to see because we stuck in the program of what we were being told, that this is the only way how we can do it, this is the only way to survive. But with the 21, which is the culmination, and this again, endings, new beginning, and it's the number 3. We know you had a lot of Hanged Man coming up. It also came up for me card-wise and in my reality with all the delays I've been experiencing in past 2 days. And it's again the number 3. What are we teaching? What are we expanding? And we are creating the cycle of the old way of living on this planet. It's ending. That's it. All these new energies are already here, ready or not. Like what we can see is the totality of manifestation of everything that came before, but these new energies are already here and they're pushing us forward. And yes, exactly like you said, we birth in this heart consciousness, the new way of experiencing life on planet Earth that is different from the old way, because the old way was something that was actually it was not ever planned. It was not meant to happen, but it happened, and it was an experience for all of us. But now we're going back to what was originally actually seated on this planet, which is what this planet was designed for, to have an experience of this very evolved beings that are incarnate in a human form, but having this enlightened experience from their heart. And also, I feel it's very interesting that what the man has around his crown is the yellow and the red, which is, again, we are creating the red, yellow, the solar plexus, a new earth, a new base, a new red, a new roots, and then you have the heart with the roots. We are birthing a new earth that is based on heart consciousness. And in order for us to do that, we need to see that there are other options, not just the ones that we were being told based on the stories of the past.
Bingo. Ditto. What you were saying, I was thinking the same thing about the colors of the chakras, so it's bringing it up to where we associate the decisions and the creation happens in the head because we're going to figure this out logically. No, we see that what we're opening up to is bringing the energies and the power of creation from those colors. And of course, you know, it's all reflected here too. And when you say a menu, this is like this big wheel of options. It's more than just, you know, the Two of Pentacles traditionally shows those two pentacles. I'm juggling these two things. I'm juggling the material, the physical, and like the ethereal, the spiritual, and I'm bringing that into balance. And it's, you know, but there's so many things here. There's so many different aspects of life, and there's more to it that we're incorporating, or like I say, it's reincorporating. We're bringing it back around again. And even like when you were talking, I was thinking about, you know, some of the channeled messages I know we've tuned into and stuff, talking about this time period of humanity being like the winter of, you know, when we talk seasonally, like in other words, this period that we've been moving through is on that side of things. This is where we're coming from, and what we're just opening up into the spring, the revival of 2.0, you know, that we were talking about last time. And
well,
so
twos. We have always 2.0.
Yeah. After we kept saying 2.0, that whole week I got 2s, 20s, you know, I was seeing 2.0 everywhere. So, you know, it's so perfect. I love it. But it never gets old. But yeah, so this is where we're creating from, and we have an opportunity now to do. This is the action of New Earth is possible through the power of creation, and also redefining. So bring the red in here of the root chakra and what we value as far as material, safety, security, you know, sort of all those are things that Taurus season and this new moon is having us look at, you know, our relationship with those things in a new light, and maybe making some new choices to see where things are out of balance and where we have an opportunity to find balance, in this case, through, you know, each of these things resembling those different aspects of our life and our fool's journey.
Yeah, and it's so perfect. I don't know why every time I look at this Two of Pentacles, it reminds me of Wheel of Fortune.
Yes.
But to me, it feels like this is a Wheel of Fortune where you have a choice to decide. You know, so it's Two of Pentacles, you decide what do you want to juggle, but the wheel is there, the wheel is turning. But, you know, like what just really came to me, which might be completely unrelated, but again, it's not a coincidence where the Hierophant flipped out, because it represents Taurus, and we are in Taurus season. But traditionally, Hierophant represents the institution, the big institution, you know, the red tape, you know, like the Vatican and stuff like that. And what really strikes me the most when I'm looking at the numbers, Two of Swords represents Libra, is the cardinal signs of the swords, of the air. Then the Two of Pentacles represents Capricorn. The three is of course Jupiter, but the 21 is the world, which represents Saturn. So what do we have here? We have the balancing of the structure of the reality, Capricorn, and we have to create the new. And we have this menu, you know, based on the totality of what was manifested before, you know, having the totality of past lifetimes manifestation right here, right now, because we can see it all in manifestation, just like you and I were talking in our conversation. There's like this dark magician pulling all these tricks out of the hat, you know, all these challenges humanity is experiencing at the moment is all happening at once. You know, we all experiencing all these challenges at once. There is all this stuff that is all out there and part of our reality all at once. And this is to show us where is the imbalance. So we actually have to see it, you know, the Libra trying to find, and again, Libra, you know, the balance, the two, you know, we trying to, the two is the polarity and duality to show us where is the imbalance. If we didn't have the dark, we wouldn't know about the light. We always need the two to understand the point of balance. And it's interesting where we have this major arcana in the middle of the two twos, well, three twos, but, you know, in the middle of the two twos, because it's like, okay, this is the reality. This is the world we're creating that now is changing, is ending, a new world is being built, and here is the program of the past, the totality of the, you know, manifestation, and here is the menu. You know, what do you want to choose going forward? What do you want to manifest? Because here is the totality, right? So I think this is so interesting how, again, the spirit is communicating so clearly with regards what's on the menu with this Taurus new moon.
Yeah, it's on the menu, but you decide. There's a choice. You have a choice. And so, and also the idea of like balance, meaning that like, what am I, like we were saying, what am I going to put my energy into? Is it a good use of my energy, my reserves, my resources, my talents, whatever it is, to put into something that is rather futile, you know? And so I'm refusing to see, and I'm continuing to invest in something that's not a valuable use, then I'm just going to keep banging up against, and that result is predictable. You know, I know that story. And so that's where I feel like, and it's so funny that you say that, because, you know, this is my favorite Hierophant, you know, that you just met. This is what winked at us right out the gate, the Teach card. And what I love about it is, yes, I was always personally quite triggered by the traditional that has that sort of institution and, you know, a traditional framework of belief systems, and one that, you know, to me would evoke in me feelings of shame and blame and guilt and fear. That actually this is like a 2.0 of the Hierophant, this new potential of bringing in a balancing between that patriarchal and overtly masculine energy to something that is more of a feminine energy. But again, as we say, it's not about a woman or a man, it's about bringing in that balance. But what I think is really beautiful here is like something that we were talking about before, was about our greatest teachers being, and I'm going to say the children and the animals, you know, and the messages that have been coming through, you know, just within our world through the children and the animals, and the ways that these things are coming into our awareness as a result of this prolonged refusal to see that now this is the teacher energy. This is like ascended master, next level ascension, the 5 energy of change that also brings with it some confusion, some chaos, you know, that type of energy that comes through that change process. It's not necessarily just a smooth, oh, look at this, step over the line and I'm here in, you know, in 2.0, right? No, we're birthing something new collectively. So I think this actually belongs, and it feels perfect to bring in, especially because of the Taurus energy, this opportunity for us to look at a new way of this new framework that's being built. And yes, we have this menu of choices. It doesn't have to be this or that, black or white, masculine, feminine, one extreme or the other. There's this whole wheel, this holistic pie even, you know, like if it's not like a wheel of chance that we're spinning to see where it lands, like, oh, it's your turn now, we've had the last 2,000 years or whatever. No, it's about the idea that we could actually go back to the menu and make all new choices and all new combinations that pull and call on all of the wisdom and the gifts, and create something that could be very different from what we've already done and played out. But actually, as we've talked before, wouldn't necessarily have been possible had it not been for that path that we did choose to take.
Exactly. And it's so interesting because actually in the 2 of Pentacles card, there is 6 slices and we have 2 𝗲𝗂, which comes to number 6, which is about trying to balance things, right? And as I said, 2 of Swords is actually representation of Libra card, the justice, trying to balance something. And actually, one word I wanted to say about the Teach card in this depiction is that I feel, because I know that you as a mother of children, there is so much, you know, stuff in this educational system which we're not going to go into in this video, but I really feel that more and more necessity is being birthed for teaching in a different way, in a different environment. And I'm starting to think back to like how things were taught in the past, you know, like having a mentor, you know, like this storytelling, you know, and like practical application. Taurus is very practical sign. So I really feel that this is like very, it's because at the moment, if you look at our current educational system without going all the other problems that are connected to it right now, it's a copy paste. It's a system that's been in practice for what? Decades, many decades, if not hundreds of years. It hasn't changed very much, but humanity changed. Us changed. These children that are born now, they need completely different approach, completely different education. And we even know now that we are awakening and rising our consciousness that a lot of things we are being told are not actually correct. They're not true, they're not correct, but our educational system has not evolved to the degree where we evolved and we needed to be evolved. So I really feel like with the old way of teaching, things were continuously adjusting because they weren't set in a stone. They weren't set in an institution. Again, not ditch and dumb it, because it served its purpose and it made us literate. But now we again at this crossroad to making a choice where all these things needs to look at, because the current educational system, which is again not going into too much of the rabbit hole, it creates people that are depending on the system. They are not being told and teach to become individuals and to learn to fish for themselves. This system is built and created to create people that are like children dependent on a system. And this is not something that is an alignment with the times we are heading into, Age of Aquarius. And this is why I feel with this Teach card, again, there is so much meaning behind it, but one of them is, well, we need to start learning in a different way that is actually practical, that helps you, Taurus, to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and be your own hierophant, be your own authority, be your own law in a sense, which is based on the past, right? It's not now about anarchy. It's about, yes, we keep this because this is good and prosperous for us as human, is in alignment with this new earth we're building, heart-centered consciousness. And then there are things that need to change and need to be rebuilt, and that's fine. And it's also interesting that the man in the middle, you know, in the emoji that they use in our social media and stuff, you have an emoji that looks like this, and you're actually saying, I don't know. You know, like Richie is about the facial expression. It's the same thing, but you say, I don't know. And he's like, embrace. It's the same thing. So do we choose to embrace the no, or say, I don't know, I need to learn some more?
Yeah. And is it okay that I don't know? It's okay. It's okay that there's some things I don't know. And even though that feels scary, unsafe, uncomfortable, unfamiliar, all the things, when I open up to embrace, anchored into the heart. So that's the thing. I know we could go all kinds of places when we start talking about be your own hierophant, right? But it's like, if everybody wants to be a hierophant, you know, I get that. But what we're saying is, this is about when we are anchored into this heart-centered consciousness, then you can expand from there, because it all comes back into the heart. And when you're coming from that place, this doesn't even belong. Like, it doesn't even belong here anymore when you look at it that way, because you understand that everything that's lit up here and showing all of this, the diversity of what's possible and the expansion into literally the world of possibilities, this limited, heavy, closed energy just feels old. It feels like it's spent. We've already, that's what we're moving from. But again, it's done with gratitude and understanding for the role that it has played to make it possible, for creating the fertile ground for us to now know that there's more, that there's more to it. And this is evolution, you know, and if we understand that we evolve, then so too should our systems and our structures and all the things that we're creating through this evolution. So, you know, that's kind of what I see unfolding here, you know, just with one little lunation coming up, it's going to really be seeding all of this. But we can take one slice at a time here, you know, and I think that's the other thing that it brings us into is to focus, you know, just kind of getting situated in what I'm creating in this moment and being present with that and being open to just allow those experiences to inform, all while, yes, at the same time, especially with retrogrades and other aspects that have us sort of going back over things, then there is also a, this is getting into my channeled words then for May, is remembering and having this the going back over things in order to sort of reassemble in a whole new way based on those remembrances and those things that we have come to pass.
Yeah, and to me it's also really fascinating that, you know, like the number 2 card, as we, you know, the first one, the beginning, like to us, well, to me, it's really connected to the new moon in Taurus, because it's the second new moon of the astrological year. Then we have the last card, which wanted to be included, which is the Hierophant, which is Taurus. And then the one in the middle, the other major arcana, is the World, which represents the Saturn. And Saturn is the rule of Capricorn. So what we have here is all Earth. It's all about this grounding, this energy, bringing it down to earth, discerning. The Capricorn in the highest vibration is actually the self-mastery. And this is what us on planet Earth, and that's why, you know, I always get this teach card confused with Virgo, especially the depiction of it, because it is that path to self-mastery. It is that learning, you know, the teach and learn, you know, learning. We all teachers and we all students all and on here on this planet, and we are all here to experience life that will leads us on some level towards self-mastery. And then there's the next level and next level and next level. And it's all about what choices will we make, and do we need to keep recreating the same wheel or based on everything else? Because actually I feel, you know, I mean, it's not like I understand tarot to the degree where I can do all this combination, but just intuitively, if we actually put the traditional 2 of Swords with like Hierophant or, you know, or the World on a high frequency, it actually is talking about this intuition on such a degree where it is the self-mastery, that going beyond the logical mind. Because with the World, it's like it's the totality. You understand the entire cycle, so you can make choices based on self-mastery and wisdom. And even with the Hierophant, you know, like Hierophant in a high vibration is the high priest, is the shaman, you know, Taurus, the shaman, which is that having the self-mastery of understanding. So I feel, again, going back, the heart, to me, even though it's so tiny, we can't see it, it actually is the centerpiece. When everything gets filtered through our heart, then we can create something completely different to anything that we've experienced until now. So how are we going to use it with the tools? What choice are we going to make? But there is already this new portal being opened that is taking us somewhere new, different.
Yeah, that's so profound what you just said about the 2 of Swords, because for those who are familiar with that card, like you mentioned, and like I'm saying, that the traditional blindfold, arms crossed, blindfold can also be a symbol for tuning, going within to your intuition, to the third eye,
Yes.
not what you see in front of you, right? Because I'm not even looking there, right? La la la. And this feels like a protection of, not, it's almost like high priestess too, you know, energy.
Yes.
So we're saying to elevate the 2 of Swords, to see the light side that says the potential of mastery would be to, there's a whole lot going on out there, and there's a whole lot of reason for me to have reactions, emotional reaction, or just a muscle memory reaction, because that's what I physically see and that's what's coming at me. But if I am from this position of going within and protecting the heart from a place where I'm able to really tune into that inner guidance, then the choice of the 2 is much more intuitive, and just it flows, because you're not allowing yourself to get caught up in all of what's going on in the external.
And
So
actually, this is also the way we can look at the card of this depiction, because instead of thinking about it, him looking down, we can think about him looking inwards, because we can see that he's got the third eye on the helmet, and then there is the activation on his crown. So we could also look at this card as a high vibration, where the man is actually in a contemplation of his own soul, like looking inwards. Rather than looking down, he's looking inwards, because there is the activation of the third eye, which is parallel, is parallel from the crown enlightenment. So this is, like which way we choose to look at it. And it's this guy in the middle is saying, well, it's up to you. Choose whichever one you want.
yeah,
But
you
it's again, it's
decide.
okay
And it's
not to know.
yeah, the choices are it's like choose your own adventure as well. Because like I said, anytime we're looking at these cards, whatever energy we're bringing to the table is going to, we're filtering our intuition through those lenses. So yes, there's many ways, and you can challenge yourself by allowing yourself to look for more, if you're feeling stuck, or if you're feeling disenchanted with what you're seeing in the cards, or whatever it is, then that can help you to look at different ways that you can rewrite the story, because that's really where we're at, is this opportunity to rewrite a tale as old as time, but it's another chapter, and it's not to negate all of the prior chapters, but there is an opportunity for allowance, acceptance, and flow with what is, and where to from here, because this past energy is coming in to inform and to arm us with the tools that we have to write this new story. It's how we're going to use them.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's get a final message. See, we managed to get all the cards in every time. We like it. There's never enough cards for me, but I love that you suggested one of your soul decks, a gorgeous deck that I love as well, Angels and Ancestors. And it actually feels really appropriate, because a lot of this remembrance energy is this reminder that we're not alone, and that there is support in the unseen, and this notion of the angels and ancestors as well. So it does feel like just the right deck for a message here for of hope and what to know on the other side of this new moon and new beginnings.
And it's perfect with the teach card and with the world, because our ancestors creating, and we were part of them. It's not like God, they did it to us. We were part of these ancestors, okay? Because we all just keep recycling. This is the world we all co-created together, the totality of it. And now we have the opportunity to learn from it and create something different. So we definitely, I think, would benefit at this time, especially to think of that which came before, and what are we learning from that, and what advice we can gather from our ancestors, all the wisdom, because apart from all these lessons that they pass on to us, and these things that needs healing and stuff that they took as far as they could with what they had available, we also inherited all the gifts and tools and all the keynotes.
Exactly. And that's how can we best honor them with this new that we can build with what's been given. Oh, this is so funny, because I pulled a similar card this morning. This is the Oracle. Wait for the important information.
Oh, wow. So, well, it's a new moon. We're not going to have the totality of what's going on.
So there's a waiting. But that's really cool. I can't wait to see what it says, because the Oracle. What's that?
I was going to say that she looks very similar to the guy in the first card, because she's also looking inwards with the closed eye, and the guy, like, you put it in a perfect place next to the guy that's looking,
trying to get him to wake up with those smelling salts. No, I see what you mean, and I love it, because then she's got the red now incorporated, but there's a little more openness and flow. But the card that I pulled this morning was from the Seasons of the Witch for Beltane, and it was the Oracle card, and it actually spoke about the signs and communications from ancestors and loved ones in spirit, and not to negate all of those signs that come through like an oracle, that you can, like another language, that you can discern. So it'll be interesting to see the message of this oracle card. Let's see. Okay, so the message is to be open and receptive to information. Gather facts so that you can make a decision that is in line with your integrity. And so this oracle is about the truth speaker and insight bringer, the ancestor who will be your best outspoken girlfriend, someone who will tell you exactly what you need to hear to move forward. Sounds like the high priestess. What are you asking me for? You already know. In this deck, she is reminiscent of the Oracle of Delphi, a psychic priestess of ancient Greece who was able to receive information and make predictions. She holds a bowl that has sacred smoke rising out of it, bringing the message to look beyond all you can see and gather information in order to make an accurate evaluation of your current situation. So it's really bringing forward this notion that the angels and ancestors and the universe are speaking to you at this time. Look and listen for important. This is the same message that came up this morning from a totally different deck. Look and listen for important conversations, signs, and messages that will point you in the right direction. You are being guided to wait for more information before making any fast moves, because at the moment you are letting your wants get in the way of your needs. There is an opportunity for you to see everything clearly at this time, but you will only be able to do so if you are willing to truly open your eyes. If you have been waiting for further information about a choice you have to make or action you have to take, don't take matters into your own hands, but let what needs to be revealed be revealed. Then you will know what to do next. Angels are supporting you. Trust them.
Wow. And did you notice she has a snake on her arm?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about transformation.
Yeah. And also, again, I don't know, those arms cuffs are kind of tight. Okay. They feel a little restrictive. So it's reminding me of that snake skin that just needs to shed, you know, like bursting out of that skin because it's like really on there. Like, I don't know, I can't wear jewelry up there personally, but it just reminds me that symbolism of the snake, but also that notion of like bursting out of its skin, like shedding the skin and bringing in all that Pluto and all the energies of this transformation and change just feels like noteworthy for sure. That symbol there.
Yeah, and Pluto is retrograde, and like I said, this is a new moon, so we don't have all the data. It's just the beginning of it. But still, I'm just like so blown away of these two cards now being next to each other. Like literally, even the smoke that's coming out of a bowl, it seems to me like it's trying to wake that man in a Two of Swords card. Like, hey, listen, just tap in. Like it's like it's like the awakening of the divine feminine and divine masculine. These two cards next to each other, like the divine feminine is trying to tune in and trying to encourage the divine masculine to tune in, and both of them like hello.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like the smoke is like, open your eyes, wake up, like, yeah. But it's so beautiful because it's everything we're saying. I mean, how many times is it talking about making a choice, making a decision, opening your eyes, seeing, but also said not too hasty. Don't just go in there, like a bull in a china shop, as we would say, to stick with the Taurus analogies, like just dropping around, like, because that's just what we do. And that's where it says something you want is getting in the way of something you need. I want to feel safe and secure and comfortable and familiar and, just like a glove, I don't want to feel like I don't know what I'm doing and it's all new or it's unpredictable. I don't know. If I spin this menu around and I choose something else, like I don't know how that's going to turn out. And that makes me feel unsafe or insecure or not confident, And so here we go. We set the intention for the courage to change the things we can. So, if there's something that comes into our awareness that we see that doesn't fit, that doesn't feel right, that doesn't feel aligned when we're tuning into the heart, is this something that I can change or that I cannot change? And if it is something that I can, then the call to having the courage to do so. But again, it's not something to just rush into headlong, which is, I feel, this buildup of the new moon and sort of the seeding and the coming clear. But I think that sounds really aligned, the notion that by the full moon in Taurus, really seeing maybe some of the culmination of all of this.
Yeah, because that's right after the eclipses, isn't it? But actually, while you were saying, you know, what really like blinked for me was that, you know, that the I don't know if it's even high vibration of Taurus, but the very important aspect of that archetype, because as we know, they come in couples and Taurus is in opposition with Scorpio, right? So I always feel, because, you know, we all like, you know, people are afraid of death and, you know, and they want to be in control and power because they feel that that way they can control, you know, all these circumstances and stuff. But with the high vibration of Taurus, that if you actually embody truly who we are and understand I'm a divine being having a human experience, and you know everything that I need is within me to create everything that I desire or I want to experience, or all the rest of it, then there will be more balance with regards to, you know, like us feeling I need to control, or I need to, you know, like make these sacrifices in order to survive because I'm trying to cheat death or something. I'm probably not explaining it properly, but you know, like with the Taurus and Scorpio, it's like a ping pong, that we always externalize our power to something outside of us because we feel it's not inside of us, and therefore we feel disempowered. But actually when we embody, you know, when we embody that well, you know, whatever happens, I obviously must have the resources within me, otherwise I wouldn't be experiencing. So is this, and again with the number 2 is the unity, the higher self and the human self at the couple, you know, the marriage, that when we actually truly embody in this physical form Taurus who we really are, and understand that everything that we are meant to experience, and you know we came here to learn, we have the resources, Taurus, the resources to be able to survive, to be able to thrive and have the abundance of that experience, whatever the experience is, then we would not be so afraid and so eager to give our power away to find it externally. So I really feel that this is what this Taurus, you know, this new moon in Taurus, which, yeah, how are we gonna learn that it's within us, and it's that the resilience is there, well, to go through this scorpionic experiences of this empowerment where you feel we lost it. But just like I had the the privilege of being told during my reading, my latest reading with Amaya, as you are privy to, they said that let us reframe this new age phase of taking my power back. They said you never lost your power, you just awakening to the understanding that you have it, but you never lost it, because nobody can take your power away, because you as a divine being, nobody can take that away from you. We just lost the wisdom, or you know, we not even lost it, but we were unaware of it. So this is what I feel like when I'm deeply like tapping into this Taurus, you know, the real archetype of Taurus, that when we actually understand that the Taurus Scorpio as they come as a pair, we've never lost it. It's always been there, but it's through this source, through this program, through this world, and the totality of that manifestation, and having the totality of understanding of the Pisces age, which was all about losing ourselves to all these institutions and religions and stories and all this. We've lost ourselves because we externalize our power to all these things, people, ideologies, whatever. So anyway, so this is what I feel like on a core level, what is being seeded here is this gateway to this new reality that is based on highest consciousness, but it includes this redefinition of our relationship to our embodied self, the Taurus.
Yeah, I was totally feeling what you were saying, because I felt like what you were describing is like, if, like we were saying, if I anchor into this absolute truth and this knowingness as a core belief, as a core reality, then everything else is just, you know, that I was thinking of this song and a saying that we have here that's like, you know, I got 99 problems, but that's not one, you know, like there's all other things to worry about, but that's not one of the things I need to worry about, because I now have rediscovered or remembered anew, because it really never left. It just was hidden from my view, or maybe I was refusing to see, or I wasn't able to identify it. Now that there's this remembrance and this revival, then there's this sense of like, I can root into that. I can rest in that, because that's the foundation. And then everything else from there, I can direct my energy into those things, you know, because that's an aspect that I don't need to worry about, because it is always with me, so that no matter where I am in this process. And that's another thing too with the Hierophant that I always see with the staircase, is like, you know, we're all in different points of that on that staircase to ascension, to awakening, to leveling up to the next greatest version of us, whatever that means. And again, it's not about the ego or levels of achievement or thinking that there's people ahead of me on the staircase or behind me on the staircase, or that I might take a couple steps up and then take a few back. Like there's this, that's the human experience part that like we, you know, we move through, but it's all endeavoring to the same place. And in every step, there's learning. You know, there's this energy of, you know, what we learn from it that we can then turn and add to our menu of resources and tools and things that we have to use.
And that's why the journey, I mean, everything is obviously cyclical, so no technically beginning of an end, but from a linear human perspective, the Taurus, second sign of the zodiac, Virgo is the 6th, and Capricorn is the 10th. But if we take it through the linear step-by-step human perspective process, we go from Taurus through Virgo to Capricorn. Taurus is, we need to ground into the energy of Taurus. You can do it. You have the resources. This is what matters to you. This is what are your needs and values. This is your relationship to yourself. Then we go through Virgo and we learn in and adjusting because of the hero's journey, you know, like you said, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. We fall on our butt. We get ourselves up again. We try again. We have an experience, and eventually that experience will grant us the wisdom of discernment, of knowing, and that will lead to self-mastery when the cycle eventually will close for all of us, and then we shed this avatar, this identity, and we go back to the source, to return back to wherever we go from there, you know, to the next destination. And it's a continuous, right? So again, that's why everything is always circles and wheels and stuff, but it's about the experience. It's not about better, worse, easier, harder. It's about the experience, because in the higher dimensions, there is no differentiation. The soul doesn't look at our life, our higher soul, and say, oh, I feel sorry for you, you got it so hard. The soul will go, well, this is an opportunity for growth and evolution. And once we are, you know, on the other side of it, we go like, oh my God, this made me a more evolved version of myself, whatever it is. So there is, again, so many layers and depths we can go back into this, but it starts with Taurus because it's the first archetype that gives form with regards to the, you know, linear sequence, Aries, Taurus, blah, blah, blah. So Taurus is the first Earth. So we have a new moon in Taurus. There is a new portal that's opening us up for us. I mean, it's right after the 5-5, it's on a 5-7, but still, you know, not far off.
Mm-hmm.
There is all this opening up for us that is giving us the opportunity to create a new form of a new experience that leads to self-mastery.
Yeah. So what does that mean for you, for me, for each individual? Just bringing it down to the practical, the earth, to say, okay, so what does that look like for me? You know, moving through this new moon and thinking about what it is that, you know, when you look at the menu of the things that maybe you're valuing in your life, or the energy that you are expending, and see where there could be a disconnect between the two, right? Because if it's like, oh, I value, you know, my health and my vitality and my family and good friends, and I like to enjoy food or whatever it is, but all of your actions and your energy is pouring into other things that don't add up, then there's this opportunity maybe to streamline those two and kind of like really be focusing on those things in your life that you want to find balance in, that you, and maybe again, using the refusing to see, using these two as a guide is what I'm feeling. So what is it that I'm not seeing? It doesn't have to be that you're refusing to see it. It's just hidden from your view. You didn't notice, you didn't realize, you never thought about it, but you know, now that you mention it, that makes sense. You know, if I'm not putting in the energy to achieve this thing, then no surprise, I'm not achieving it, you know, or whatever it is, so that we can sort of look again at what we value and what we're investing in, and see where, you know, we can make tweaks, or where we're doing really well, and then put our energy more into that, as far as the intentions and seeds we're planting to manifest as we move through. But again, with the heart at the center of it all, you know, and having that be the guide of really, really feeling into where you feel between those two, coming into there.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, seriously, we could just go into more and more rabbit holes from here.
I know.
But when I was looking at the card of this oracle, I was like, I mean, it's not that because I looked closely, but it little bit reminds me of DNA, the stuff that's coming out of the cup. Like we are, in a sense, dissolving the old structure of our DNA and building a new strands. We are literally going through these quantum leaps and everything. I mean, Pluto rules DNA. So Pluto being in Aquarius, and we know, and again, this is a whole new conversation, how the new children, the new beings, they are very different. They are very different from what we were, and also we are very different from people that were born 100, 200, 500 years ago, because it's a continuous evolution. So, and the wheel is always turning, like the red wheel is always turning. It just keeps turning.
Yeah, and the point being, and so should we be. So we should, right? Because this is where I feel the ancestors come in and all this being torn between, oh yeah, but in the old days we did this and that would have never flown in the old days. That's right. It wouldn't have. But if we're expecting that we are evolving and changing and growing, then it wouldn't be right if it wasn't different now, or if it wasn't transforming into something new. So it actually makes a lot of sense when we embrace it from that perspective and understand that our ancestors do as well. Like they're celebrating that. That wisdom card has those books that are all stacked, and then she's standing on top of it, that it's like built on the backs of all of the things that came to pass, that we now can reach that higher tier that they never could reach because that consciousness didn't exist. So, and the smoke is a beautiful symbol of, I feel like, transmutation, like taking things from one old form and changing it, and then it sort of goes up into the ethers, and absorbed into the atmosphere to become what we're building from in the new, so just also that power of just smoke and the notion that it is a cleansing and clearing and kind of resetting too for this new beginning.
Exactly, because I always keep saying to my clients that, when these ancestors come back, and maybe they are your child or will be your grandchild, you never know, they'll be like, thanks God you changed it, so I don't have to do it again, because we try to hold on to this tradition because we think we're doing it for these ancestors. But when these ancestors come back, just like we did, they're going to play a very different role. And they don't want to have to go through the same stuff again if they don't have to. So this is why, we have the privilege and also, the opportunity, the lesson. So it all goes up in a smoke, because everything is, life is like that. It's like a puff of smoke, it's elusive.
It is. And also, we don't know. We don't know. Look, he's back here still saying, see, we don't know. But hey, that's okay, because it's all part of the process.
Let's embrace it, right?
Embrace it. Hey.
Yeah, because again, when you go into that fogginess, well, there is a reason why we forget everything prior to incarnating, because we want it to be exciting. That's like, well, if you go to the movies and somebody tells you exactly what the movie is going to be about, you go like, well, why bother? So it's all in a puff of smoke. There is all this veil of forgetfulness, because that's what the soul wants. It wants to make it a bit exciting for itself. But obviously, us being right here, right now, looking from this vantage point, we go, are you kidding? Why would I choose that, right?
Yeah.
But apparently we did. So let's embrace it. Let's accept it.
So embrace it. Right. Yeah. Wow.
Woo. All right. I think we maxed out.
We've maxed out. We could keep going, but we maxed out. It's past your dinner time.
Oh, well past my dinner time. I think it's like approaching my bedtime over here.
Yeah.
But before we get there, Marisa, please tell us all about your news.
Well, all things grow in the flow. We're kicking off the new month. So the Empowerment Sharecast, which is on the Marco Polo app, it's a free space where I offer my intuitive card readings and musings, and we have all kinds of fun over there pulling cards each week. I offer free card pulls for your personal week ahead. So a new May Empowerment Pack, May Empowerment Sharecast and Empowerment Pack are both just kicking off. So those will be the links that I'll be sharing here in the description of joining on the free Empowerment Sharecast. And if you'd like to come along to work together this month, the Empowerment Pack is a series of 3 readings. You and I work together for your month ahead energies through both of the lunations, and then unlimited 1-card pulls as well for guidance and insight throughout the month.
Cool. Really exciting. Excited to hear all of that myself, because I'm part of Empowerment Pack and Sharecast. And yeah, and I actually made a decision to extend my sale. So if anybody wants a reading, I will keep it on until the end of the week, because as my domain was being transferred, my website had a bit of a glitch for about a day. So I'm just gonna honor that and keep it on for the rest of the week if anybody's interested. But once again, what a pleasure, what an honor. Marisa, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope that despite that our podcast over here are getting longer, I hope that people find the value and enjoy our multidimensional perspectives. And yeah,
we definitely appreciate that, the comments and the feedback, and knowing that that you find value in it. So yes, thank you.
And resonate, exactly. So yeah, happy new moon in Taurus next week to everyone. And we'll see you for the full moon in Sagittarius next time, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, and bye for now.